The smell hits you first. Burnt caramel and honey, the sweet, cloying stench of melting wax. Then the sound, not a scream, but a sharp hiss, the wind tearing the air from your lungs. Your arms, which moments ago were divine wings, are now just flesh and bone, flailing uselessly. Beneath you, the sea is not a welcoming blue, but dark, hard glass rushing up to meet you. And above is the Sunday. It is not a star, it is an eye, a golden eye, furious, beautiful, that seduced you and then betrayed you. You are not falling, you are being ripped from the sky. And in this terror that lasts an eternity, a single, terrible thought crosses your mind. It was worth it. This is the story of a boy who flew too close to the sun, but it is not a simple fable about disobedience. It is a code, a myth carved into the heart of the human condition. It is a story about the prison we build for ourselves and the desperate price of freedom. It is the story of Icarus. Before the fall, there was the prison. Not a prison of iron bars, but a far worse one, a prison of genius. His father, Daedalus, was the most brilliant man in the world, an inventor, an architect, an artist whose mind could bend stone and wood to his will. It was he who designed the great Labyrinth of Crete, a masterpiece of complexity, a knot of corridors and dead ends so perfect it could imprison the beast at its center. The Minotaur, a nightmare of man and bull. But genius is a trap. King Minos, fearing the secret of the labyrinth might be revealed, imprisoned its creator within it. Daedalus, the architect of the prison, became its prisoner, and with him, his son, Icarus. For Icarus, the labyrinth was not just a place. It was his entire existence, the smell of damp stone, the echo of his own footsteps, the distant, terrifying roar of the beast in the dark. It was a life without a horizon, an existence in a world designed to confuse and contain. It was the perfect metaphor for the human condition, being born into a system you did not create, a labyrinth of rules, expectations, and limits. Daedalus, the genius, could not endure stagnation. His mind, accustomed to solving the impossible, went to work. He could not cross the walls, he could not sail the guarded sea. So he looked up to the sky, to the one escape route no one could block. And there, in his desperate desire for freedom, he conceived an idea that was both an act of genius and an act of blasphemy. He would give man wings. They were not toys. They were masterpieces of desperate engineering. Daedalus gathered the feathers of seabirds that had fallen into the courtyards of their prison. He arranged them meticulously, from smallest to largest, creating a perfect arc. He bound them together with linen thread at the center and fixed them at the base with beeswax. They were instruments of fragile, mortal beauty. The smell of warm wax and feathers filled their room, the smell of hope. 2 pairs, one for himself, one for his son. As he fastened the wings to Icarus's shoulders, tears streamed down his face. "My son," he said, his voice trembling under the weight of his own invention, "we must follow the middle path. Do not fly too low, or the dampness of the sea will weigh down your wings. Do not fly too high, or the heat of the sun will melt the wax. Stay close to me. Follow my course." It was the eternal warning of moderation, the golden mean, the wisdom of a father who knew limits. But he was speaking to a boy who had known nothing but limits. A boy whose eyes were filled only with the vast, infinite promise of the sky. The moment came. They leapt from the highest tower, a leap of faith into the void. For one terrifying instant, they fell. Then the wings caught the wind, and they flew. For Icarus, it was rebirth. The wind beneath his wings was the first true caress he had ever known. The salty taste of the air was the first real taste of freedom. Beneath him, the labyrinth, his prison, shrunk into an insignificant scribble on the earth. Fishermen looked up in awe, believing them to be gods. And in that moment, Icarus felt like a god. His body was light, his spirit weightless. Every beat of his wings was a laugh in the face of his imprisoned past. This was not just an escape. It was an ascent. It was the pure, untainted ecstasy of transcendence. He looked at his father, a cautious figure tracing a safe path through the sky. But the safe path was not what Icarus's heart desired. His heart desired more. Why did Icarus disobey? He was not foolish. He was not a rebellious child. He was a soul tasting absolute freedom for the first time and becoming addicted to it. The sun was not just a ball of fire in the sky. It was a call, a golden, pulsing beacon of power and glory. It seemed to whisper to him, promising secrets only the gods could know. It dared him to rise, to prove his worth, to touch the face of the divine. He did not forget his father's warning. He ignored it. He knowingly sacrificed it on the altar of that glorious feeling. The sensation of flying higher, of feeling the air thin, of seeing the entire world unfold beneath him. That sensation was worth any price. For one glorious moment, he was not the son of a mortal craftsman. He was Icarus, the boy who had touched the Sunday. It was a feeling worth dying for. Then, the tragedy. An unnatural heat on his neck, the sweet scent of melting wax. A single feather came loose, dancing in the air like a tear. Then another, and another. Panic, cold, and razor-sharp shattered the ecstasy. His arms beat furiously, but the wings were disintegrating. The divine structure was dissolving into chaos of threads and feathers. His cry, a mix of terror and his father's name, was swallowed by the wind. The fall was silent and solitary. The sun, his seducer, now watched him with indifference. The world, which moments before had been at his feet, now rushed toward him to claim him. Daedalus, helpless, could only watch, his heart breaking as his greatest invention became the instrument of his greatest loss. The impact, an explosion of white and blue, and then silence. Only the gentle sound of waves, and a few feathers floating on the surface, like an epitaph for a dream. So what is the meaning? For centuries, the story of Icarus has been told as a warning against arrogance, a moral tale about hubris, about the danger of defying the gods and one's limits. Listen to your elders. Do not fly too high. But this is too simple a way of seeing it. It is the lesson prisoners teach other prisoners. What if Icarus was not a failure, but a hero? A hero not of war or strength, but of the human spirit. His story asks a fundamental question: which is better, to live a long, safe, mediocre life, slowly rotting in your personal labyrinth, or to dare, to risk everything for a moment of pure, glorious, divine freedom, even if that moment leads to destruction? Icarus chose. He chose the ecstasy of flight over the safety of the cage. He chose to touch the sun, even knowing it would burn him. In a world that constantly pushes us toward the middle path, toward safety, toward the beaten road, Icarus is a powerful symbol of those who dare to stray. He is the patron saint of artists, inventors, dreamers, of all who refuse to accept the limits imposed upon them. Yes, he fell. But is it not true that humanity's greatest discoveries, its greatest leaps forward, were born from those who risked falling? His is not a story of failure. It is a story about the glory of the attempt. A reminder that our greatest fear should not be failure, but the regret of never having tried. It is better to fly for a moment and fall than to spend an entire lifetime staring at the sky from the bottom of a labyrinth. Human ambition is a dangerous fire. It can create wonders, and it can destroy, but without it, we are merely prisoners walking in circles in the dark. Icarus left us an eternal lesson. Your wings may melt, you may fall, you may shatter against the sea, but for a moment, you will have flown. And sometimes, that is all that matters. Think of Daedalus, the genius who created the wings. After his son's death, it is said he wandered the world, haunted by the memory of what he had done. His invention, his masterpiece, had become a weapon. He had given his son freedom, but also the ability to destroy himself. This is the tragedy of every parent, every teacher, every creator. The gift you give may be used against the one who receives it. Daedalus had to live with that knowledge, with the fact that his genius, his greatest strength, was also the cause of his greatest suffering. Yet here lies the paradoxical beauty of the story. Daedalus did not stop creating. He did not throw away his genius in despair. He continued to invent, to build, to push the boundaries of what was possible. Because he knew that the value of creation does not lie in the safety of the outcome, but in the courage of the act itself. He knew that genius, like freedom, like love, is always dangerous, and that this danger is what makes it precious. Icarus is not a story about a boy's stupidity. It is a story about the tragedy of the human condition. We are creatures made to fly, but our sky is limited. We are built to dream, but our dreams are mortal. We are capable of touching the divine, but the divine will burn us if we get too close. And yet, knowing all this, we will continue to build wings. We will continue to fly. We will continue to risk. Because this is the true lesson of Icarus. It is not, do not fly too high. It is fly knowing you might fall and fly anyway. It is the affirmation of the human will in the face of inevitable defeat. It is the refusal to accept imposed limits, even when we know that trying to surpass them may destroy us. Look around you. Every great human achievement was accomplished by someone who flew too high. Artists who created immortal masterpieces risked their sanity. Scientists who changed the course of history risked ridicule and failure. Explorers who discovered new worlds risked death in unknown waters. All of them were Icarus. All of them built wings of wax and flew toward the sun. And yes, many of them fell. Many did not reach their goal. Many were forgotten. Their wings melted by the heat of their own ambition. But the fact that they fell does not make their flight any less glorious. If anything, it makes it more so, because they flew not knowing whether they would reach the sun, but knowing that the attempt itself was an act of divinity. The story of Icarus has been taught for millennia as a warning, but perhaps it is time to reinterpret it. Perhaps it is time to see it not as a caution, but as an anthem to the beauty of trying, to the courage of challenging the impossible, to the glory of flight, even if brief, even if destined to end in a fall. Because the true tragedy is not falling from the sky. The true tragedy is never having flown at all, living an entire life with unused wings, staring at the sun from a safe distance, dreaming of flight without ever daring to attempt it. That is the real death. Not Icarus's fall, the stagnation of those who never dare to fly. Think of the moments when you felt the pull of the impossible, when you wanted something so intensely your body trembled, when you saw a peak you longed to climb, a dream you wanted to chase, a version of yourself you wanted to become. In those moments, you felt wings growing on your back. You felt the warmth of the sun calling you, and then the fear. The rational voice whispering warnings. The voice of Daedalus telling you to stay safe, not to fly too high. How many of us listened to that voice? How many of us folded our wings and returned to the ground? How many chose the safety of the cage over the risk of flight? There is no judgment in this question. Fear is natural, caution is wise, but regret is deadly. Because regret is the real poison, not the fall, but the thought of, what if I had tried? Not failure, but the knowledge that you will never know whether you could have succeeded. That is the true hell, not the fire of the sun, but the cold silence of an unlived life. So the next time you feel the weight of your wings, the next time you hear the call of the sun, the next time you have the chance to fly, remember Icarus. Remember that it may end in a fall. Remember that the wax may melt. Remember that the sea is hard and the ground is cold. But also remember that for one glorious, infinite moment, you will have touched the sky, and that this moment of pure, absolute, divine freedom will be worth every scar, every tear, every wound you carry for the rest of your life. Icarus is dead, but his flight is immortal. And as long as there are humans who gaze at the sky with longing, as long as there are souls who refuse to accept limits, as long as there are hearts that beat with the ambition to touch the divine, Icarus will continue to fly, not as a warning of what not to do, but as an invitation to build your wings, an invitation to challenge the sun, an invitation to live, truly live, even if it means falling. This is the lesson modern mythology does not want to teach you, because a society built on safety, moderation, and conformity does not need Icarus. It needs people who accept its labyrinth, people who do not dare to fly. But you are not those people. If you are listening to this story, if the words of Icarus resonate in your heart, then you are already one of them. You have already built wings, and the question is no longer whether you should fly. The question is, how many more days will you wait before you do? The sun is up there, shining as it always has, beautiful and deadly, calling you. Your wings are ready, the wax is still intact, and the sky, the vast, infinite, glorious sky is waiting for you. Fly. Fly knowing you might fall. Fly knowing the sun may burn you. But fly, because a life without flight is not a life. It is only waiting for death in a labyrinth you never chose.